Last summer, my partner, my dog, and I were camping near a river in the Blue Ridge backcountry, not far from a long-distance hiking trail that cut straight through our campsite. The trail was barely 10 feet from where we pitched our tent, and the river ran quietly just behind us. We'd spent the day kayaking, and it hadn't gone smoothly. A few scary moments on the water left us exhausted and on edge. By evening, we just wanted to decompress. We were low on weed, so we ate a couple edibles and tried to relax. My partner was dozing in a hammock while I laid on a towel near the water, letting the sound of the river calm me down. That's when a man appeared from the trail. He started talking immediately, rambling about trash. At first, I thought I misheard him, but then I noticed his oversized pack and trail-worn clothes. He was clearly a long-haul hiker and wanted us to take his trash with us. That alone wouldn't have been strange, except the nearest trail exit with a dumpster was only a short walk away. I mentioned that to him, thinking he'd rather handle it himself. Instead, he reached into his bag and pulled out a large sack of weed. He offered me some if I'd take his trash. I was confused, but free weed is free weed. I agreed. He dropped a handful into my palm and stuffed his trash into our bag. We made small talk, how long he'd been hiking, where he started, the usual. Then he asked if he could stay and drink a beer with us. Against my instincts, I said yes. He seemed lonely more than anything. Still, I had a nagging feeling he thought I was alone, until my partner shifted in the hammock. The hiker visibly startled when he realized there was someone else with me. After that, the energy changed. He kept assuring us he wasn't creepy, which immediately made things worse. We smoked by the river and offered him a hit since he'd given us weed earlier. He coughed violently, and that's when he started acting strange. He talked non-stop, but so quietly we couldn't understand a word. He stared at the river, muttering to himself, occasionally glancing at us as if we were part of the conversation. When we stopped responding, he began yelling at the voice assistant on his phone, swearing at it and insulting it like it was a real person. He drank multiple beers, smoked several cigarettes, and refused to take the hint. Then, completely out of nowhere, he asked, "Be honest, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I seem like a serial killer?" My partner and I exchanged a look that said, "We're in trouble." We laughed nervously and said 1, trying to keep things light. After that, we stopped engaging entirely. He said he'd finish one last cigarette and head out. That cigarette felt endless. When he finally left, night had already settled in. We were convinced he'd come back. We actually planned an escape, grab the dog, jump into the river, and float downstream if he returned. He never did. But I still think about how quickly that situation turned uncomfortable and how vulnerable we really were. A close friend of mine, let's call her Lena, was an experienced solo hiker. One summer, she decided to hike a long stretch of a well-known mountain trail by herself. We planned to meet near a high-elevation lodge partway through her journey. She never arrived. Search teams eventually found her alive weeks later, miles away from the trail, hiding in a ravine. She later told me what happened. Men followed her for days, voices that stayed just out of sight. When they finally stepped into the light, she ran and survived by hiding deep in the wilderness. She said people like them were known to disappear into the mountains to avoid the law. She never hiked again. I grew up in a remote mountain region known for its deep forests and winding back roads. The land there feels old, ancient in a way that presses down on you. Years ago, I was driving home late from evening classes. The road was unusually silent. No insects, no animals, not even stars overhead. When I exited the highway, I noticed something unsettling. The all-night fuel station near my family's road was completely dark. It never was. I kept driving. As I rounded a sharp bend, something ran into the road. It looked like a dog. I hit the brakes but still struck it. When I stopped, the air filled with the smell of decay. I assumed it was roadkill nearby. I shifted into reverse and glanced into my mirror. The dog was standing upright, on two legs. It was massive and skeletal, its skin hanging loose and gray. Its arms were too long, its posture wrong. Its face looked almost human, but unfinished. No eyes, just empty hollows, teeth twisted in unnatural directions. It stared straight at me. A nearby house light flicked on, and the thing bolted into the woods, running like a man. That wasn't the last time I saw it. When I was a kid living in a rural hollow, my grandmother had strict rules about the woods. If you hear your name, don't answer. If you hear voices, don't follow them. If you see someone you recognize in the forest, no, you didn't. One summer night during a storm, lightning flashed and revealed a tall shape standing beyond the tree line, watching us. After that night, our tent was destroyed. Nearby animals were found dead, and no one would explain anything. Years later, I finally learned the name people whispered for it, and they never said it twice. While staying with my grandparents one summer, I was responsible for walking their dog at night. The woods behind their house always made me uneasy, but I did it anyway. One night, something whistled from the trees. The dog froze and growled. When I told my grandmother, she asked one question: "Did you whistle back?" When I said no, she told me never to walk the woods again. Later that week, the whistling came closer, right next to the house. Whatever it was, wanted a response. After moving to a secluded mountain town, I was warned by locals. Don't hike after dark. Don't touch bones you find in the woods. I ignored that advice. After moving a skull off a trail, something began stalking my home. It howled at night, scratched at the porch, left bones outside my door. One of them wasn't animal. The town organized a hunt. They had a name for what lived in the forest. And the night before the hunt, I heard laughter coming from the trees.